It hit 0 4 times.
The goddamn thing juked us, dude.
Jesus.
Gave us the sham god digital style.
God, I took a big breath to start talking, and it fucking said, "Wait." It was like a parking meter at the crosswalk. Wait. All right.
Wait.
So before, okay, welcome in everybody. Welcome into this inauguration of Donnie T podcast. A lot has happened in the last. What is this? Oh, sorry. A link just said Trump demands an apology. I was like, already from us?
Yeah, it's not an email, Eric. It's not an email.
But no, so this is our first podcast that we're recording, obviously, after the Trump's inauguration. And I think there's a lot to talk about, and I think we're only day 4 removed from the inauguration. So, which is crazy that there's already a lot to talk about. We got a whole running list here, and a running list. So it's not over. But I just wanted to start off before we get into those gross, heavy topics that we have today. What do you guys think about bologna? And I'm not asking this as a jackass, and I genuinely mean it, because I just had 2 bologna sandwiches, and every single time I seem to bring it up into a conversation, people seem to have a very, very harsh opinion of it. So I just wanted to get your opinion before we get into the bologna that is Donald Trump.
Do you have strong feelings on bologna, Rick?
I don't like it.
No, that
Why?
doesn't sound very tough.
Because it's like a fucking bigger version of a shitty hot dog that's been cut up. Like it's like a giant sized fun dog.
Yeah,
that's been sliced.
It's
and
a hot
I hate
dog for
fun
people
dogs.
that like pancakes.
pan dogs.
Yeah, it's a hot dog for when you want. It's a hot dog for when you actually want pancakes, but you also want a hot dog.
Which is
You're not
every day
selling
for
me,
me,
man.
Okay, but here's the thing with it. Okay, like my experience with bologna is like, I grew up with it. I grew up with not a ton of money, and bologna was probably the cheapest lunch meat that money can buy, which is why I assumed that we had it in our house in college. I remember we put some on pizza the one time, Rick. It was not
Sure.
good. We made the pizza. It was a terrible idea. It tasted like a grocery store. I remember vividly it tasting like a grocery store. I will not elaborate. I don't know. I think it's fine. I have a problem with it because sometimes you get it and you bite into it and it's like gritty, like someone put fucking sand in the meat smasher. I don't know how they make it, but someone put so now it's kind of gritty and it feels like you got a mouthful of sand and
That's
meat.
cartilage.
It's like you're I mean, it's like you're blowing a dude at the beach. You just got meat and sand in your mouth at the same fucking time. So I don't know. I think it's overall unpleasant, and I just say spend the few extra dollars for like some proper lunch meat.
Okay,
that's where I'm at. I would eat it if I had to, but I'd rather not.
got it. So
I feel like I'm privileged enough. I'm privileged enough to buy proper lunch meat.
And I would consider myself that too. And for the next 80 seconds, I'm going to explain maybe why I am going to defend it so hard. But so I've bought my fair share of turkey sliced and whatnot, and there's always seemingly a red dot for some reason within that meat. And it always grosses me out. It's disgusting. What is the red dot? I'd rather see artificial meat that is bologna, or at least put together, and enjoy that with a sandwich, knowing that it's artificial. But this shaved turkey with the red dot in it makes me not want to have it. I mean, what is that, an infection? Did they get it like a HPV shot before they killed it? You know what I mean?
So the funny thing about that, Eric, is when you eat bologna, that's like all the red dots that they didn't miss.
So it's all the lips and assholes.
Right.
I mean, as far as I'm aware.
That's all the shit that they didn't know what to do with, that's what was left over.
But that's what I'm saying. But I know that's what I'm paying for, though. But when I paid the extra dollars to get just shaved turkey, like Subway style shaved turkey, and the red dot's still there, it's like I might as well just be eating bologna then. And
I don't know what you're buying, because like I've never seen this red dot. I have legitimately zero clue what the fuck you're talking about right now.
Someone's sniping at you.
Dude, yeah. Are you sure it's not a laser pointer?
It looks like one. But we'll leave it there. I'll send a picture to you guys in the group chat next time I run across a red dot on my turkey. But
I need proof. I think you're turning into Alex Jones. I think this is a fucking conspiracy.
Or just get
Is it
ham.
making you gay? Yeah, Ham is gonna have a dot too, though.
Ham's
you know
gross.
Ham is gonna have a fucking dot.
Ham,
That's fucked up.
Dude, you're wrong.
Okay, ham during the holidays is what I want. All right, but not ham on my
That's
sandwich
fair.
on a Tuesday in January. Fair?
No.
That's fair. I'll accept. I'll accept these terms. All right. We don't have to. We can agree to whatever. We could split
I'd rather
the
eat
difference on this one.
bologna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love bologna. The cheaper the better. I'm a big fun dog guy too, so I guess that
Oh
makes
God, no.
cheaper the better.
Hey, corn dogs, and mini corn dogs. Come on. I will fuck a mini corn dog at any time.
I used
I'll
to
shove them in both ends. I don't care.
have a college roommate who would have a mound of mini corn dogs, a mound, and I mean that like he would make the whole box, and get high. And I was
hell
jealous of
yeah.
that. And every time I would do it, it would end in disaster with my stomach. But speaking of terms, Donald Trump just got started his second term as president, and he had a lot of day one orders. And as we were talking about, Zach, before the show started, he kind of, and I'm using your words now, so I'm quoting Zach, ladies and gentlemen, but he said before the show that it's always usually a show, when on the first day when the president starts signing executive orders or starts changing things and whatnot, because they kind of follow him in his first steps into either the Oval Office and whatnot. But Donald Trump had a table set up, like you said, Zach, in this arena area, and was ready for a show, ready for the audience to kind of, see what I'm doing, see all these promises that I'm going to fulfill, like the January 6th pardons and things like that, and all these ridiculous executive orders that he was going to sign. So obviously we're here to share our opinions on that, but I just thought that was kind of ridiculous. And just the level of arrogance that he had bugged me. And that's just obviously coming from a point of view of, I just don't like the guy. So politics aside, he's just kind of an asshole. But I just thought it came in with a lot of arrogance. And there were some things in there that he changed on the first day, and we'll get into some more things that he's changed in the days to follow. But your initial opinions on that, please, fellas.
So as you mentioned the January 6th pardons, and I think that's a good place to start. It might not be the one that has kind of the greatest effect on American citizens on the whole, because I don't know. I mean, it's not a policy change, right? It's not a thing that he's changed in that respect. But I think it matters a ton because this dude came in. You can tell that he came in with a plan, with how many orders he signed, and the fact that this was one of them, where he gave out somewhere in the realm of 1,500 pardons, full pardons, to people who were at January 6th. Now, of course, the right has argued, well, some of them just kind of were there and just kind of walked into the lobby and were just kind of hanging out and didn't do anything violent. My issue with that, or at least my concern and my opinion on that is, well, they were still fucking there and they still were part of the, chaos that ensued that day. You don't necessarily have to pull the trigger. You don't have to be the party. They were still a party too, right? Just because they weren't the party doesn't, I don't think, make that much of a difference. But he's also given full pardons to people who assaulted police officers. So we're talking about the dudes that tased a police officer until he had a heart attack over and over. They held him in place while someone tased the shit out of him until he had a heart attack, and that man got a pardon. People got a pardon who would have beaten cops to death with the flagpoles, like we've talked about before. I think it was a couple episodes we talked about January 6th a little bit. So these are full pardons for these people. He's just, he bitches up and down about there's criminals that they're letting out on the streets from all these other countries, all these immigrants, they're letting the jails out into our streets. And then he turns around and in one fell swoop, hits us with 1,500 people that are criminals that were convicted in court, tried by a jury of their peers, had prison sentences or jail sentences or, various levels of probation, et cetera, et cetera. They're all back out on the street. And in fact, I think I read last night the one of the founders of the Oath Keepers is visiting the White House. So now he's having all of these people come and visit the White House after they stormed the Capitol and tried to overthrow the government that way. Again, admittedly, one of the shittiest attempts at it because none of them knew their fucking ass from a hole in the ground once they got in the door. But the point remains that they tried to do seditious shit. And now they're just being welcomed into the White House the same way that Ohio State football team is going to be because they won a national championship. He's going to fucking host them, I'm sure, just as his usual thing. So this is your back the blue guy. This is your party and your president of law and order. Again, say what you will about Biden's pardons and his preemptive pardons and things like that. I think this is beyond fucked up. And I think this is a huge signal flare for how Trump is going to handle his loyalists, people loyal to him, or people that treat him nicely, or people that kiss his ass enough. So yeah, feels real fascist to me, honestly, that he just kind of released an army of supporters into the streets. And the one thing though, I will say the one thing that I did see is there's one person who stormed the Capitol. She is in prison, or what has a prison sentence or a jail sentence, and she refused the pardon on the grounds of she learned and realized that she was wrong. And she said, "Look, I was wrong. I feel as though I was in a cult. I kind of didn't know which way was up, and I stormed the Capitol, and I'm guilty of it." She pled guilty, I believe. So there's at least one person there with a little bit of a soul. I think we have to give credit where credit's due to her. Yeah, the rest of it's real fascist shit. That's kind of my take.
Yeah. So just real quick before Rick, I know you got something to say, but shout out to her. That's Pamela Hemphill, and I was going to bring her up as well. She's a 71-year-old lady from Boise, Idaho. But she is quoted, and this is from MSNBC, saying that she's not accepting the pardon because accepting it would be an insult to the Capitol Hill or Capitol police officers, to the rule of law, to our nation. So basically admitting like this would be a giant insult to backing the blue, basically. So yeah. So that is a big shout out to that person, but you still did it wrong. So shame on you, Rick.
Yeah. So this is setting a dangerous precedent. Trump is. He's saying you can break the law in my name and I'll bail you out. That's all this is saying. And when the most powerful fucking man in the world can do that, what's stopping him from making this our country becoming fucking just a fascist state? I mean, he's taking it out of the fucking rule book left and right with all these other
Executive orders.
brain fart.
Orders.
Yeah, executive order.
We never claimed to be intelligent.
No, I'm fucking worn out by reading the goddamn headlines.
I feel you.
All these other executive orders, and then on top of it, he's bailing out his henchmen.
Yeah.
Right. It's fucking insane, and these people are just cool with it. So many people are just like, yeah, fucking let him out. But then again, then they're saying at the same time with Biden's pardons, innocent people don't need pardons. But according to them, these J6ers are innocent. It's such a hypocrisy. It's full of hypocrisy, and I don't know, man. I'm fucking fried already.
See, that's where I think the biggest issue I take with it is where like they're screaming about like Biden's pardons and like you just said that innocent people shouldn't need pardons. And then like there's a giant mirror being held up by them by the left and being like, look what you're saying, and then look what you're supporting. Are you still okay with this? Like this is a giant thing. 1,500 people is nothing to sneeze at. That's a giant, like you said, Zach. That's an army of people that betrayed the country and tried to overthrow the government or whatever. And now we're just all okay with it. Matter of fact, I think, and I can't back this up through a report or whatever, but I heard that one of them is already rearrested over a gun charge.
Yeah.
I did see that. I don't remember his name or the details, but I remember zipping by that actually earlier today, kind of as I was between doing a couple things. So yeah, I can back that up, but I don't have a source. So someone find a source, I guess. But yeah, they're already out doing crimes, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah, as criminals do, right? Like you're releasing them back to the streets after they. I don't know how you can just commit that sort of crime on that level on a national scale. Everyone knows who you are, and with a stroke of a pen, this jackass that's in office just gets to say you're good, and you can probably do it again if I want you to. But like you said, in my name, do thy bidding, and then we'll make sure that nothing happens to you. Like their future isn't even fucked right now, right? Because the pardon happened, and that basically gets expunged from their record.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, it's legally as far as it goes, it never happened. But I mean, and we know like a lot of the big names, a lot of the big faces, people are gonna know. Like god damn it, what do they keep like the Q shaman, the dipshit with the horned hat. I don't remember his actual name, but people are gonna recognize him, or the dipshit from Iced Earth, a metal band which they had a few bangers. But I'm gonna lie, don't listen to Iced Earth. ever again. Like they had a few bangers that weren't just like jerking off America, but a lot of their music was just fucking cranking hog to how great America is. And that dude was arrested. He was one of the violent ones that kind of broke in. So if you're a metalhead and you listen to Iced Earth, fucking stop it. They're trash. Mostly because of that guy, but yeah, it's just it just again it I don't think that the three of us between the three of us, I don't think we can stress enough that it really just signals how he's going to handle it. You know, if these were people who had done this for Joe Biden, or if these were people who like, you know, if this was a thing where like, you know, how they were saying, oh, the left is going to fuck with the Capitol because Kamala Harris didn't win and they're going to try and pull the same shit we did. If that had happened, like hell, if Trump would have pardoned any of them. You know, it's because these people are fucking loyal to him and he's going to need that popularity for something. He's trying to build that popularity, right?
Right.
And I think kind of what it is, I don't know if he necessarily has a plan or, you know, I don't know if I'm not ready to go so far as to say he's trying to straight up turn this into a full-blown oligarchy, you know, kind of a thing. I don't think he has thought that far into the future. But
His handlers have.
well, I think there is some of that going on, and I do certainly believe he's just doing anything he can right now to gain more and more popularity. And I think that's why, you know, he basically walked in the door and started signing these ridiculous executive orders that he knows will gain favor with far right people, including a lot of his, you know, homies that were there that we'll talk about. You know, I mean, his audience, like standing right there next to him at the inauguration, between the four of them there, probably had more wealth combined than fuck every other country on the planet, damn near. You know, and that's absolutely wild to me. So, yeah, no, he's definitely just trying to shift this whole thing far right. He needs those 1,500 dipshits.
Yeah, and let's talk about that too a little bit. Those four people in question here. I mean, this is a guy that claimed that he, you know, he's for the little man. He's gonna, you know, for the farmers, for these people that has seen nothing but riches and glamour and whatever you want to call it in his days since he was a little kid to now. Has seen no hardship. Has always got bailed out either by the government or through tax loopholes, whatever. And now by his side are all these multimillionaires who are kissing the ring, so to speak, and they're there in full support. And nobody up there was somebody who he said that he was going to represent. And it was only people that have their best interests in mind and that have his best interests in mind. They don't give a shit about the people that voted for him at all.
Well, there's like it can't be made any more clear than his inauguration. The average person that voted for him was left out in the fucking cold, and he was literally cozying up in the warmth with all the billionaire buddies to swear him into office.
Yeah,
It doesn't get any more fucking black and white, clear, crystal clear than that. It just doesn't.
but they won't see it that way, and they won't see a lot of things that way. They won't see what everyone else will see because that's that cloud of brainwash, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it. Because at this point, I don't know what else to call it without being disrespectful. You know what I mean? So it's like you get to a certain point and you got to say, man, if you can't see it at this point on the first day that this guy is not going to give a shit about you. I mean, look at the prices. Did the prices drop? I know it's only been 5 days or whatever, but did he sign an executive order to change any of that shit? Did he do anything in his power to get you back to whatever? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he did, but I do want to say this too: the TikTok bullshit. I would just want to kind of talk about that for a little bit. How greasy and slimy that felt in the span of an 8-hour through the night that they kissed his ass in a message, and then kissed it again on the welcome back message. That was a private citizen, and they were referring to him as if he was a sitting president in that moment. That to me seems extremely unethical. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems fishy, and I don't really know how that even worked out. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what TikTok has to gain from kissing his ass. I mean, I guess other than, you know, making him save TikTok in the United States, because I'm sure that TikTok has a huge amount of like market in the United States, right? I mean, everyone's on that stupid fucking thing. So, I mean, it changed the way Meta does business. I mean, that's why Reels exist on, you know, Facebook and Instagram feeds, is because TikTok just changed it. That's why YouTube has YouTube Shorts now, because TikTok changed how people are consuming this content. So it seems really fucking slimy. And I mean, it seems to be a thing where a lot of rich people and a lot of people who have something to gain know that if they suck his fucking little skinny Cheeto, they can fucking get what they want out of him. And I don't know that necessarily, like, I have a hard time believing that, like, Mark Zuckerberg is like friends with Donald Trump or likes hanging out with him, right? I don't know if I believe that all these guys like him on a human, like, individual level, but I know they all like what what he can do for them, and they all know that he can be bought, either literally, like, probably with money and gifts and shit, or again, you kiss his ass a little bit, you tell him he's the greatest thing that ever happened to fucking Wall Street or whatever, and there he is. There you go. And you can, wake TikTok back up. The interesting thing is TikTok had a date to shut down unless it was sold. Trump didn't do anything and TikTok came back. And I think he now has signed an order to delay that kind of ban for, like, I think it's like 75 days or something. So he's got a few months to figure this shit out. But I think it's really fucking weird that that moment came. Nobody did anything. So, like you said, Trump was still a citizen at that point. He was not a sitting president. And yet, yeah, a handful of hours later, TikTok's back. Everyone's scrolling, getting their fucking brain rot on. So very strange. I think it's very fucking weird. And I don't know what happened. If anyone does know what happened, please, please send us information, because what the fuck?
Yeah, I think I would be extra hesitant to partake in TikTok at this point, just because of that. Like, it just that's not. I mean, granted, most social medias now are fucking cozying up to him, but this was pretty blatant.
I will say that during the night, in the day and a half to follow or whatever, Facebook didn't have an account on TikTok, and then now it does. I don't know what that means, and it's been proved. Like, this isn't like a conspiracy. Like, now they have an account. They have like a couple 100,000 followers within a couple days. But if they were on there forever, they would have more than that and whatnot. So that's to me is a little odd, because wasn't Zuckboy the one advocating against banning it?
I forget.
I think he was, and
Where's Zuckerberg? I think he was, yeah, but I forget.
because of the data, whatever they were saying, it was a national threat to data security and whatnot. And he was like, yes, it is. Look over here. Don't look at what we're doing. And and now that 8 hours through the night, all of a sudden he's a fan and against the ban, and he's there. So again, something unethical. And then he was also at the inauguration, so it doubles down for me that something sus is happening. So I don't know.
Staring at someone's boobies. He
Yeah,
was staring next. He was next to a lady who's just fucking getting a fucking shot down her cleavage. So that was kind of gross to see his fucking rubber skinned looking ass trying to fucking catch a peek at a nip slip. So he's at the front of the goddamn, yeah. He's just, dude, you don't look directly at the sun. All right, you gotta bounce that shit off 19 fucking mirrors if you're gonna do shit like that. God, don't be gross right in front of the whole fucking nation. I mean, yeah, ideally just don't be gross, but just fuck, man. It was just blatantly obvious. So another thing, while we're on the topic of Zuckerberg and Facebook and all this, there was a thing on Instagram where people were having their profiles automatically follow the POTUS account and the VP account, and they were unable to unfollow those accounts.
Yep.
So they would hit unfollow, and they would just start following it again, and blocking it didn't work or anything like that. So
Yeah.
Also strange. I checked. I wasn't a victim of that. Because I went and checked on both accounts if I had, automatically been following them. At which point I would have just started shit posting in the comment sections. Let's be honest. But fortunately, I was not following them.
So with that, I think so. I didn't check it out on Instagram or whatever, but I did notice that today I had an issue with following just a random person. I clicked follow to request, and then it bounced me back, and it won't let me follow, or you know what I mean. So I almost feel like it was like let's cover this thing up with. If it was something, you know what I mean, it wasn't just going to affect those direct accounts. It could have been so they could play it off as like a glitch, but I did see that as well. And the blocking thing, I tried blocking Facebook on TikTok. It would not let me. So I did experience that. It just didn't come up as an option. So
see, yeah, it's interesting because, like, TikTok, I mean, that's an entirely different service, right? So you're not even talking about a Meta product having that issue anymore. You're talking about, like an entirely different social media.
Yeah. And I will say this too as a disclaimer. I don't know. I never blocked anything on TikTok before, so I could have been attempting to do it wrong. I looked up how to do it, and the way they showed how to do it, unless it was manipulated somehow, I followed their steps directly, and it didn't pop up for me. So, unless we're all getting bamboozled, which is very possible, I don't know. But just want to put that out there, just so I'm not a tinfoil hat wearer when this comes out later in life. That you can't actually do it or something. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's good to cover all your bases, I suppose, in today's day and age. But it just feels gross. It just feels icky.
You know what else feels icky?
Besides my penis?
Besides grabbing a bologna out of the container. I will say that's the grossest part about bologna.
Yeah, it always feels sweaty.
Yeah.
Feels sweaty.
It makes my wiener feel weird. But the fact that what's gross, because we want to take this more seriously now, is the fact that DEI and the Equal Employment Opportunity Act has been revoked, removed, and certainly enacted now. That not enacted, but has been, how do you say,
repealed.
I know, but I guess enforced now that it's not a thing. The opposite has been enforced. Let's say it that way. In the federal government. And, coming from an HR perspective, I don't know if that's going to change anything if it reaches out to our limbs of, of what we can and can't do as far as hiring and firing and things like that. But, I would like to think and have faith in humanity at that point that it's not going to disrupt anything. It's not going to make you act any differently than you would if it was there. It's a scary thought that protection level isn't there anymore in a federal way. And, and if you voted this way, and if you can honestly tell yourself that, you still love your black friend and your girlfriend and things like that, you're a liar. This is something that you were a part of. And, now you got to reap the consequences, I guess. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, look, these DEI programs, I mean, they're there for a reason, right? They're not there, and the issue that the right has with them is they believe that it makes jobs not a merit-based system, right? Where they believe that people are getting passed up for jobs because, oh, well, there's a quota of people of color that this company has to hire, so they're going to skip over the white guy to hire the person of color just based on that. And that's not how these programs work.
Yeah.
Look, it's still merit-based when you go in for a job. This, in a lot of ways, just puts in protections to make sure that people are not being passed up for jobs or for promotions based on their gender, their race, whatever color of their skin, any of that type of stuff. So it's important. And you got to realize too that it really seems like step one, because this is coming from a president who is around people, all of which have criticized the Civil Rights Act, right? So this goes all the way back to straight up having segregated schools and blasting fire hoses at people of color that are peacefully assembling. And it goes back to, hey, you have to sit in the back of the fucking bus. You can't sit in the front of the fucking bus. All right. So that is what we're dealing with. So this is a thing where he could easily write his name down on a piece of paper and it's gone, right? So all the DEI programs at the federal government, all of those departments, they're all gone. All of the people that work in those departments or have those jobs have all either been laid off or fired by now. I don't know what is technically the way they're going with this, but they're essentially gone and now they do not have a job. So now people have lost jobs for this. Repealing something like the Civil Rights Act, that's going to take a little more political oomph. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, who's to say that he can't? Who's to say he doesn't have that political capital to spend? So I think this is just step one. I think this was just an easy rock to move out of the way for him, honestly. So that's kind of what makes it feel a little bit extra gross, is to know that this isn't the end of the line for any of these types of, equity things that he wants to get rid of.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Zach was saying, this doesn't just apply to DEI. This goes all the way back to 1965. Like Lyndon B. Johnson signed this executive order for affirmative action. And shortly before that, he signed the Civil Rights Act into law. So that's what is stopping Trump for now, is that the Civil Rights Act is a law and not just a...
Can't use an executive order to repeal that one. Yeah, like I mean, that one's gonna have to come to a vote or be challenged at the Supreme Court or something like that. So it needs a little more firepower to get rid of that one.
That didn't stop him from trying to do an executive order against the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, trying to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is something that was done in Germany when a certain painter was in charge. When that certain painter got rid of birthright citizenship for a certain group of people.
He wasn't really
That he
famous for his paintings either.
No, no, he wasn't. He wasn't famous for that, unfortunately. Yeah, so it just that one really starts to feel gross. Just, I mean, in that context, but also in the fact that it's like, man, you know exactly who this is targeting. And I mean, and also like the logistics of this also kind of seem ridiculous. I mean, so what happens when two white people have a kid? So now that kid is technically not an American citizen. Well, what's the process for making that child an American citizen now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of another thing I think about outside of the pretty fucking apparent racism, because they're trying to get rid of the whole anchor baby situation where people cross the border and they may be illegal, but then they have a child here. The child is a citizen, et cetera, and that causes some complications. He's just trying to make it easier to deport everyone who's not the right color in his mind. That's it. Um, but yeah, this would have a ripple effect. It's already being challenged in court because it takes a lot to change a fucking constitutional amendment, and this dipshit probably doesn't realize that you can't just sign an executive order for those. Those take a little
Yeah.
more horsepower than that. So
Yeah.
thankfully that one should just stick around. I really highly doubt this guy's going to change the Constitution in any way.
He's just hucking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. More of
Yeah,
it sticking than not, unfortunately. But
I
yeah,
just
too much of it's sticking right now.
so with all this almost hateful executive order bullshit, because that's what it seems like. I mean, it seems like it's just hateful and it's just intolerant. What I see coming from this is a president of the United States is attempting to change all these things. But what it's doing still, regardless if it gets through or not, like you guys said, it's being challenged in law. Regardless of that, what's happening though is it's still empowering people who think that way every day, who don't appreciate that. And it's that empowerment. So it's like, hey, this president that pardon these people that perform these illegal acts will also have my back when I too believe in what he believes in, and I start beating up people, let's say that aren't born from here and they belong in a different country, even though we're all immigrants, which is something that people forgot about because people started looking differently after a certain while. That's what I'm afraid of, I guess. And then I think too we have the ICE raids. I think there's a thing where people are they can just say that person's not from here and they're just rounded up and shipped out without a trial or due process anymore.
See, I don't know how those ice raids are going. They started so goddamn fast that like I don't understand how they started this fast. I assume there would be time, there would be like, we would see some motion and maybe they would, there'd be a way to figure out where they're targeting and who they're targeting and things like that. But in Minnesota, they've been going on. So right in our backyard. I think there was one done 10 miles down the road from me. And Donald Trump has removed protections. So these people can go into schools, they can go into churches, they can do whatever, and they can put you in cuffs and haul you out. Now, I don't know what they're doing as far as deporting, detaining, asking for any papers, anything like that. I don't know what that looks like. That'd be something I'm gonna have to dig into at some point. What I will say, while this might not necessarily be legal advice, you should come here for legal advice or anything, but don't fucking say anything without a lawyer. If anyone listens to this, you have migrant friends, you are a migrant, I don't care. Don't say a fucking thing without a lawyer. And I can say that from experience. I've been fucked by it before.
yep.
Don't say a goddamn thing without a lawyer and ask for a fucking warrant. Both of those fucking things. If they're trying to come to your house, don't open the door until they show you a goddamn warrant and keep your fucking mouth shut until you have a lawyer there. That's it. Right? They'll probably just go away and they're going to come back and whatever, but just shut the fuck up. Like I cannot say it with enough oomph. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, the fact that these ice raids are going on so soon after this is written kind of makes me feel like a lot of this shit was almost locked and loaded. And that the minute pen hit paper, they just said, "Okay, go. Start finding people you don't like how they look. and start asking for papers, I guess. I honestly don't, because they started talking about initially like, oh, well, we won't go, uh, you know, we'll find the criminals and we won't go to workplaces or anything like that right away or whatever, kind of making it sound like they'll just take the people in prison and maybe expedite that. But I've seen nothing about expediting deportations. I've just seen things about we're going to go get more people to deport.
Isn't this getting dangerously close to like I don't know, another famous, I mean, the same painter, but similar time frame, but like the Jewish question, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Boy,
like,
isn't it?
like the raids, I think there's one there, let's protect myself. Like it's almost out of fear, and it's like I'm helping the guy that could potentially do something later to harm me, but I want to get on his good side. Like I don't know. This is such a weird, familiar thing that we learned about, and like we always say that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes, but this is such a big rhyme. I mean, this is like when people rhyme door hinge with orange, and it's right there in front of us.
They're rhyming the
Yeah,
same
man.
fucking word, man. They
The
just got
orange
lazy and rhymed the same word.
And slightly
rhyming
darker
mansion with Wisconsin.
orange. But
That's
I'm just
T-Pain. That's
it's
the artist.
it's such a scary thought, and it's not even a thought anymore. It's the reality we live in, and it's only going to get worse from here because it's day 4 of his presidency. It's day 4, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, dude.
Going on day 5 tomorrow, and I guess well, and we have some more for you later, but we'll bring up another thing that happened to be to be, it'll come, giggity. But no, this is such a hard thing to understand. I guess I can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around the fact that people who voted for this guy are seeing this happen in real time and just can't make the connections themselves. And if they aren't making that connection, it's either because they're too dumb or they're just ignorant, and they're choosing to be ignorant because there's no way that they can't see the parallels. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
They're
we're
it's
choosing
got to be
not to
part of
see it.
ignorance. These people can't read. Remember that most people in the country can't read.
That's right.
we're seeing how this happened in Nazi Germany, right? You always think back, like, how could that happen? How could so many people just, now we know. Now we fucking know. This is how. People are fucking dumb and they don't want to know the truth or want to figure it out or think too hard because their fucking heads might explode. They don't want to put thought into it. They want a fucking dear leader. I don't know. It seems like they want this.
Well, I
And I
think
don't
the thing is
understand that.
that, like, this movement, I guess, I guess I'll put it on just the whole far right movement in America. Like, they cooked this grenade, right? Because a lot of this stuff, the three of us probably would have talked about during his first term, talking about the parallels to like, ooh, this looks a little, you know, a little fucking Charlie Chaplin mustachy, right? I mean, this is weird. The attacks on the media and this and that, ugh, that feels a little fascist, right? And a lot of us would have been called, like, we just be like, you guys are lunatics. It's not this,
Yeah.
it's not that serious. Don't read into it so much.
You're being
Um,
alarmist.
yeah, you're being an alarmist, and now look, like they just cooked the grenade for an extra 4 years, and they got their shit together and they licked their wounds, and now look, I mean, how long is it going to take before all of us alarmist freaks, like, look, prove me wrong. I would love to be an alarmist. I would love 4 years from now to just breathe a sigh of relief and go like, oh, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But
Right.
right now, dude, yeah, 3, 4, 5 days in, I don't know, man. I'm getting pretty fucking stressed out about it, and I just don't think I can find an excuse to brush any of this off. I really can't. And look, I'm a white guy. We're all white guys on this thing, and we're still concerned about all this shit. I mean, and aside from the stuff, the economic stuff that's going to affect us directly, or any of these other laws that might change affecting loved ones and things. Look, I'm not getting deported. I'm fucking white. I look like one of them, but like it still is terrifying because I know people, or I have friends that could potentially just either get fucked with or full blown, get deported. I don't fucking know the situation. It's terrifying to know that there's people out there that are fucking scared in a country that when I grew up, everyone talked about like, oh my God, like America's great because it's a melting pot, because of all the cultures here. This is fantastic. This is part of why we're so successful, is all these people from all these other nations, come here for opportunities. And so everyone starts fucking doing that because that's what we advertise on the box of fucking cereal that is America. And they open it up and fucking cockroaches fly out at them.
Yeah.
These people come over here to bust their ass and work hard in fields and take jobs that nobody wants, or they try to immigrate over here legitimately because they want, they want to have these opportunities that they think we have. And we just immediately start spitting on them. That's not what I was promised. That's not what I was taught this country is. And I think a lot of people still believe it's that, and they need to check themselves and figure out what they're saying, because in one hand they'll say, it's great because this, that, and the other thing. And then the other hand, they'll just be like, yeah, well, all these fucking immigrants, which is, America was never about saying fuck all the immigrants.
Right.
I don't, at least it wasn't designed that way. We weren't taught that it was designed that way. Yeah, we killed all the Native Americans, like, or most of them, like what, and we did slavery and all this shit. But the idea was that people would come here and have freedom. So we should be able to do that 2025 style where, we don't have slavery and we shouldn't kill Native Americans and so on and so forth. Yeah.
What's the biggest concern about illegal immigration right now? Like, is it just the fact that they're just here? Like, what's because they seemingly pay taxes, right? Some of them do.
Yeah.
Any of them that work, yeah, they just don't get to collect any of the benefits from it. So it's sort of a double-edged, hypocritical concern with them, because on the one hand they're saying that they're taking all of our jobs, and on the other hand they're saying that they're sucking all the welfare out of our system. So apparently they're both taking our jobs and they're just getting nursed by the welfare state, which
It's Schrodinger's immigrant.
right. I mean, a logical person would say you can't have both of those things be true, but it doesn't seem like they give a fuck, which I guess they're being consistent in that regard. They don't give a fuck about making sense.
Yeah, we're not dealing with logical people here. We're not dealing with people that believe in the fucking scientific method in any stretch. So that's no, and that is exactly the stupid thing about it, is there's a claim that they're taking all the jobs, there's a claim they're sucking up all the welfare, and then there's the claim that they're doing a shitload of crime. And I personally have not seen any sort of data or anything that suggests that illegal immigrants, or even immigrants in general, commit more crime than American citizens do. You
The
know what I
data
mean? So it's,
suggests otherwise, actually.
yeah, exactly. Based on what I've seen, yeah, they commit less crime. They're probably busy working, 14-hour days and these jobs that nobody wants. So, um, yeah, I just think it's just made up fucking hoodoo bullshit in their heads. I really think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think it too. I mean, we still have hate groups in America, and there's never going to be a day where there is peace or understanding, and that's just going to be unfortunate. But a big old hairy butt just came out of the corner, and that is going to be a message that I think was very, very brave and brought out at a unique time. I felt from I believe, I don't know what the official title is, but Marion Edgar Booty, is that her name?
I'm not sure how to pronounce it for sure. But yeah, the bishop at Trump's little sermon there.
And
Yeah.
it was all on video, and I think that was beautiful, just to see the scoff from Trump, the hesitant looks from the family members, and then the nervousness that JD Vance had, that kept looking at his wife, and his wife eventually hit him to pay attention, which I thought was very funny. I just think that again, a brave, I just like almost like a death sentence if this continues to go down the road that it goes. And quite frankly, I just saw an interview that she was on post that message, and she has already received death threats. She's being labeled a wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't trust a
Jesus
false
Christ.
prophet. And people are claiming that Trump is the prophet and she's the false prophet, and believe Trump over her. Biblical stuff right there. But it's like, how can you consider yourself a God-fearing Christian and look at Trump being the real deal, deporting and all this hateful shit, and the one that's giving the message? And it was pretty tame, I felt. It was like
She would just ask for mercy.
yeah.
Just be merciful towards the people that are terrified. That's
Yeah.
all. That's the basically what she said.
And it was it came out of left field, I felt, during the whole thing, but you know, like I said, it just screams to me that these people are just gone, man. They're too far gone.
Dude, there are sharks in the water and there's blood in the water. They're not about being fucking peaceful or merciful or anything. They're emboldened right now and they want to see fucking blood.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me. They're not interested in compromise. They're not interested in being merciful or helping anyone. They want to fucking punish somebody. And they're going to punch down because it's easy. It's real easy to punch down.
If this were a movie, this is the point of the movie where the Empire Strikes Back, right? Like this is where the bad guys are, like you said, Rick, are just empowered, or when Kylo Ren, the light has officially gone out and Han Solo is about to get killed. Like this is it. And I don't know. It's scary.
Look, you shouldn't have to look a newly inaugurated sitting president in the face. There should be no situation in which you have to stand in front of him, look him in the eyes, and say, please be kind to American citizens. Like, please be a president for all of us. She should never have had to even say that.
Right.
Now, I mean, and you add in the fact that, again, yes, Trump says he's Christian, but it's, dude, I mean, this shit, the art, like, almost paints itself. You have this woman up there who is being in that moment just like she is being a conduit for like God's teachings and for the way that like Jesus should be, right? Like as far as my understanding of the fucking Bible goes, he was a pretty cool dude. like Jesus was a bad motherfucker in a lot of ways, if you follow that directly. And then she's looking at a rich motherfucker who just tries to have his way with women, who's tried to talk about fucking his own child, like who does all these horrible things, who immediately sat down and wrote all these executive orders erasing identities and getting rid of people. You know, it's just it's insane. It is a piece of Renaissance art just waiting to be painted, you know. But I do, yeah, no, I mean, huge shout out to her. Um, that's got to be horrifying. I mean, look at the crowd she had. That's got to be legitimately terrifying. Um, Interestingly enough, she has written a book uh, that the title of which I can't remember what it is. Something about bravery. The subtitle is something about showing bravery in life and in faith. And man, if you feel like you need tips on being brave, I'd pick that one up because she's got fucking balls for doing that. Um, yeah, no, I mean, it was absolutely huge. Watching it was kind of funny at first, right, when I started watching the video, but holy shit, it just got heavy after kind of realizing what she was saying because she knew
Right.
what was coming.
Yeah, she was basically saying, "Hey, try and remember these are people too, and to treat them as equal people, not less than or whatever." And Trump basically said after that, "Fuck you, apologize for that."
Oh, in a
Yeah.
lot of words. Yeah, on Truth Social. I mean, yeah, it was a lot of words to say fuck you was all he said.
Right.
So, pretty cool. So, yeah, so now you have a person. So you have a good Christian person who's shitting all over someone leading a sermon. Like that's that seems not Christian. That seems very strange. These people are supposed to
Yeah.
be, the ones who deliver the message of Jesus Christ himself. And you're going to sit there and go like, "Nah, she's wrong. Listen to me."
Right.
Really? Because that
Yeah.
kind of sounds like worshiping a false idol to me. And again, I'm a fucking atheist. Rick's a fucking atheist. And both of us fucking know that everything, despite that, we know better than all these Christians that Trump is not doing the fucking Christian thing
Right.
at all, ever. It doesn't
They're not.
exist in
They are
that.
not doing what they're preaching. That's for sure. They preach about Jesus and forgiveness and being merciful and this and that. And he's not that. He's the antithesis of that.
Well, and if he gave a shit, if he gave a shit about any of this, like he immediately, so she intentionally called out, LGBT people as one of the groups that she was asking for mercy for. It was, them, immigrants, people who were here illegally, things like that. But he immediately signed an executive order that, well, it was intended to essentially erase the identity of 1% or roughly 3 million people in America and basically erase any form of transgenderism and make a male and female. He was going to say there's only two genders now, male and female. But I'm very excited to announce to everyone listening to this podcast, including the three of us here and including anyone who can overhear me outside of my house, we're all women. In the club,
Yep.
we all ma'am. All right, because this executive order was written that the gender is decided at conception of a fetus. And I would like all of you to know who haven't read a science book in a while that for about 6 weeks we're all women.
Yep.
So if any of you
you've
have
watched
any
Jurassic Park, if you've ever seen Jurassic Park, you'll know. They explain it very well there.
Yeah, it's very easy to digest because it's all dinosaur related, so it's pretty easy to keep up with. But I just if any of you have hints for like fitting a bra, because I don't know how to really do this stuff. If any of you want to go like sundress shopping with me for this summer, I feel like I need new clothes because all my stuff is very masculine. Yeah, I'm just gonna need some tips, some makeup tips, something like that. I want to be a little more feminine if we're all gonna be women. I want to be on that side. So I'm going to start painting my nails a little more frequently. I think that's the way to go here. But so congratulations to Donald Trump for coming out as a transgender woman, first of all. And yeah, I guess they owned the libs. They said, we're not going to have 10 genders. We're not going to have all these gender. We're going to have one gender.
We're not even going to have two.
Yeah, not even two. We're going to have one fucking gender. Fuck all of you. You're all one gender now. So I guess DEI isn't needed if we're all women. Right. Shit. I mean, I guess the gender part of that's taken care of.
But that just goes to show that they have no clue what the fuck they're talking about, right? They haven't followed the science, and they never have, and they're not interested in doing it. Because for them to write that shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the fucking chromosomes and how biology works as you're being throughout the pregnancy, of a human or anything really. They don't understand how that works, or that chromosomes or the home, like there is a God, I'm getting in the weeds here a little bit. There's a spectrum where sometimes it's not presented. There are variances that happen.
Right, you have intersex individuals or these different things where you might have XXY chromosomes, or you end up with 3 chromosomes where there should be 2. Whatever, there's issues with development, and no, exactly. There's people that chromosomally might have XXY or whatever. I forget exactly how they go. I studied them in a psychology class actually. It was pretty interesting, but some people may present female but have like more male chromosomes, right? It just doesn't always work out nice and clean. So,
right.
I mean, and you erase, and that 1% of gender of people that essentially erase the identity of, that doesn't include, I don't think, all these like intersex people or people with these different developmental differences that can cause things like that. So, absolute fundamentalist misunderstanding of biology that they couldn't even be bothered to fucking look up to write a proper executive order. So there it is. That's how smart this administration is going to be.
Yeah. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, and buckle up. It's going to be a fun 4 years. But any closing thoughts from you guys while we wrap this episode up?
I got nothing really to say. Just buckle up, be good to your people. I think the best thing we can do right now for these next 4 years is just be nice, be good to the people around you and do the best for that, for your community, things like that. Because I don't think any of us are going to be able to instill enough change to make a huge difference. So you just got to do it within your community at the roots, and hopefully there's enough that goes on that we can stop some of this fucking bullshit from going on. Other than that, like, rate, subscribe, and keep listening to all the back episodes. If you haven't listened to every episode, I want you all to listen to every single goddamn one.
There we go. Rick?
I guess, we got to try and I think the biggest thing to try and do with Trump's second presidency is we got to stay engaged. I know that a lot of people are feeling fatigue, like just outrage fatigue, and just being. I mean, I'm feeling it too. I forgot what a fucking executive order was in this podcast. It's setting in fucking hard for me, but I need to keep reminding myself that I need to stay engaged and I need to pay the fuck attention because they want you to be apathetic. They count on it. That's how they get what they want, is if you're not paying the fuck attention. So I think that's the biggest thing. You have try and find community, try and find like-minded people that you can confide in, and we'll get through this. We have to keep trying.
Perfect. Yeah. And I would just say, similar to what Zach said, maybe listen to the bishop's words, go back and listen to it, and then really soak them in as well. I mean, I think we can all learn something from it too. None of us are perfect, but maybe we can all take a page from that or take something from that and apply it to our lives, because, it's necessary sometimes to look in the mirror. No matter how good you think you are, no matter how much you think you do, you could probably do more. So that's all I have to say, and I thank you for listening.